My name is Mark Tate. I live in Franklin, Tennessee, which is a suburb of Nashville, Nash Vegas, if some people call it. And I am a physical therapist by training. I'm licensed in Tennessee and California. And I do healthcare. I moved from the clinical side of delivering healthcare to the insurance side with, my goal, my vision, my mission has been to increase access to care and the process of which people go through to get it. How do I make that easier for both?
So important. And your background as you were telling me earlier, in physical therapy, yeah, was
Yeah.
in your background? Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that aligns very well. And I love the
Yes.
passion there.
Well,
Cool. So
I had a mentor. He was like, "Hey, I was frustrated with prior authorization and all the processes." And he's like, "Hey, you either play by the rules, you change the rules, or you get out." I've been trying to change the rules ever since.
love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So to help set the stage for those that are watching, can you talk to us about where you were in your job search before coming into Career Amp? So what was happening and all that?
Yeah, I'm on the good side of a hard year. And I put in a 2 week notice to leave. I was in a startup and it wasn't going in the right direction. I'd gotten beaten up in the job I had before that. And so put in my 2 week notice. On my last day, I ended up dislocating my hip. I have a hip replacement and it got dislocated. And so as far as job search and everything else, I came out of the gate hot, right? Called up some connections, LinkedIn, some other things, and got all the way to the end and didn't get across the finish line, didn't get the offer. So then things went really, really dry. And, I had a bunch of different people who were helping me with resumes and everybody had advice. But there wasn't a specific plan or an aggregated way of how to go about doing the things. And I'm like, I can try to figure this out on my own. So then where I got to the point, it was right after my last surgery. And I'm like, I only have this much money left and this much time before I have to, for my recovery on my surgery. And so that's when I started seeing Career Amp I saw it on Facebook first. And then I started looking at it. I'm like, but they had, a lot of confidence, great personality of the person, but they knew they were talking about. They had come from these huge companies. And then, I had an intro call, just an interest call. There was no pressure. And they were like, and there was just this level of compassion and, hey, we've been there and we get it. And we'll, you can do whatever you want, but we know that what we do works. And so it was that level of confidence and, the success rate that made me kind of choose Career Amp over all the others. Right. Because there was compassion on like, hell, man, I'm sorry to hear you're going through all this with your surgery and everything else. And then on top of that, hey, here, sorry you're going through this with your job search. And then when I finally made the decision, actually they did everything they could to make me feel comfortable in making decisions. They even brought, hey, we have somebody that used to be on your side and decided to work for us. They're starting tomorrow. You want to talk to them about how they made that decision? And so, it just gives a lot of reassurance that like, hey, what I'm feeling, they're not just selling me on something. They believe it, they're living it, and they've done it, and they're okay if I say no. So there's no pressure to try to do it.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm so glad that we worked with you and that we came across each other on this path called life.
Yeah.
And super. So we'll talk about your wins, your successes to celebrate here in just a second. But I'm curious, as you mentioned like no pressure to join and some of the things that we were confident in. Were there any other pieces that were important to you as you were looking at coaching partners that made you ultimately choose Career Amp?
Yeah, I think it was the coaching partner. These were coaches, and not just in the sense of like almost everybody is doing some kind of coaching or something, but these were career coaches from people who have been on the other side of the process and had seen all of it, right? I had a lot of experience in my 20 plus career in healthcare and especially in the corporate environment. And so looking to go back into that, I'm like, hey, I want somebody who is in the mindset of that person that's on the other side of my process of filling out these applications, going through the interview process and everything else. And the coaching along the way from wherever you are. So I was kind of like, well, I don't even really know what I want to do next, right? I've done all this and your confidence is down. You don't feel like you've done anything, regardless of what your resume says and all the numbers and accomplishments you have on there. But it was the coaches, right? And at first, I'm sure everybody's like, oh, I want AJ. He's the only one that can do this. But then started meeting all the other coaches that were on staff. I'm like, oh, they don't just let anybody in here. You got to be the cream of the crop. And so I'm like, I always, no matter what I'm doing, like if whatever I'm doing, I want the person who's geeked out on loving the thing that they do. And that's just where their passion is. And so because they're naturally going to want to be better at it. And so that was the sense I got. I'm dealing with, hey, I'm an expert in my field, but I'm dealing with experts in their field and I want to work with them.
So yeah, super powerful when that comes together. I think of the like Captain Planet analogy when our powers are combined.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Cool. Well, so tell us, like, what would you consider your biggest win inside of Career Amp? Obviously, you have a couple of offers to celebrate, and if I did the math correctly, I think it was about 12 weeks from the time that you joined to the time that you got your first offer.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if you would consider that your biggest win, or if it would be something else.
So ultimately to go from nothing and no prospects to having 2 offers on the table right now, that's definitely a win. But if I'm on the other side of this equation trying to think about what it is, like the win was the level of support and all the different tools that I got through going through Career Amp. I mean, it was probably one of the lowest points I've been in between having a disability with going through hip surgery and hip replacement and then not having a job, like all the anchors and foundations that I had put myself on. But there was this, hey, every week I got on this call where, hey, I'm not alone. Hey, you know what? It's not just you. And then there was always some nugget that you got from the coaches that were there. So I'm going to say the biggest win I got was getting my self-confidence back from participating in those weekly calls. I had some sidebars with some people that I met in the group call that we kind of supported each other on the side. So yes, I got the ultimate victory of having offers, but I'd say getting my confidence back, and just even when I was low, I knew I could jump on the call. When I wanted to go crawl into a hole, I could jump on the call, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to get some kind of motivation back to do the next thing.
That's so powerful. And I think I loved what you called out, because yes, you got 2 offers in 300 and whatever days after 300 whatever days of not having
Right.
something, 12 weeks, which is amazing. But the powerful part is that transformation along the way, and the things that you gather as a result of coming to coaching, and that you did gather. So I'm just so pleased for you. I have chills just thinking about it. So
yeah, let me add this, because you have to make a decision. Like, and one of the differentiators, everybody and their brother has some kind of advice on what to do with your resume. I had a bunch of different versions of resume feedback and actual products that I had paid all kinds of money for. But for whatever reason, it was the combination of going through the milestones plus going through my source stories, so that when I got to the time where we were going back and forth to finalize my resume, I mean, I felt confident. I had the shield and armor on when I was going out to have these conversations to go into that. So like, I'm going to say it's the resume, but it's like, that's just a piece of paper that tells my story. It was the build up and the confidence, like, hey, you did all these things that are on this paper. So it's not just that, but that was a bit, I just remember after getting those couple of versions back and then follow up with my coach. I mean, I felt invincible going out to any job, opportunity and everything. So that was a big win, because that's not how I felt before. I was like, hey, I hope somebody was like, oh, I went from I hope to I dare them not to hire me.
yes, I love that. I love that. That's incredible. That's great, Mark. Okay, so last question here is, if someone's watching this and they're on the fence on whether or not they want to join Career Amp, what would you tell them to do and why?
Do it. Just do it. So I think if you're on the fence, because for me, the big decision, I'm like, man, this is a large chunk of change. But it was an investment in myself. Being on this side of it and where I was in the process and how I felt about, my prospects of finding another job. I could have kept struggling on my own, but that cost time and money too. So what I would say is, if you're on the fence about making the decision, it's basically you're making a choice of whether or not you're going to invest in yourself, and then who's going to coach you to do that. I played sports growing up, and I played sports in college, and I had a coach, and I was good at sports. I was already good on my own, but I got better because of the coaches and the perspective that they gave me, and they knew things that I didn't. So if you're on the fence, you can try to self-coach, but the people on this team, they know it. They've been there, they've seen all the different circumstances, and they can help tweak whatever you need to tweak in order to get you where you want to be. So I'd say do it. Really, I kind of took it on faith. I started this journey when I decided to resign from my other one to come to this one on faith. So, hey, God, I trust you, and like, lead me to the right places. And he led me to Career Amp, and I was like, do I really want to? But I was kind of, hey, this is my final hope. This is kind of my last. And I wish I would have found you guys earlier. I could have saved a lot of money on a lot of different resumes, but it was worth every penny for the support and the confidence and the tools. You're going to get everything you need. So you may not need it all, but it's all there if you need it.
Love it, Mark. Well, congratulations again. We're super thrilled for you, and thanks for spending time with me again today.
Yeah, thanks, AJ. Take care.